Hi, this is Marty Leckletter, Product Manager, IBM Forms Experience Builder, speaking to you today about using Feb with Salesforce.com. You can integrate Feb with Salesforce.com, giving you a great way to engage customers, collect information about prospects and leads, and pass them on to Salesforce.com. In this session, we're going to take a look at how we can integrate information from Salesforce.com into Feb to pre-populate drop-downs and fields. We're also going to take a look at how we can pass information from Feb back to Salesforce to update opportunities, accounts, and create new opportunities and accounts. Let's take a look at a demo. Here I am in IBM Forms Experience Builder. I have created an app called Salesforce.com. Let's go ahead and launch it. When the application starts, it makes a call out to Salesforce, and it passes my Salesforce username and password, my Salesforce account ID, and a secret code. And in return, Salesforce gives me an access token. That access token is then used in a second call which it made to get a list of the accounts. So you can see here I've got ABC, GenePoint, United Oil and Gas. If I flip over to Salesforce, I can see the same accounts. So let's go ahead and we'll pick an account, Pyramid Construction. By clicking on that account, it's making another call back to Salesforce, and it's getting detailed information about Pyramid Construction. I can flip to another one, and it'll get information about Dickinson, Grand Hotels, Express Logistics, and it's also getting information about the opportunities. So this is a second table that it's looking up, and it's getting details about each one of these opportunities. So while I'm on this particular account, I can peruse through the 3 different opportunities that I have. I can come in here and I can update these opportunities. I can come into the account and I can update information about the account. So if I want to say that this is Express Logistics in Transport updated, just to show that I'm updating a record, and then save that back. The account here is account list is going to refresh. So you can see that it says Express Logistics and Transport updated. If I flip over to Salesforce and refresh here, you can see Express Logistics and Transport updated. So this is working to get information out of Salesforce, to make subsequent gets, to get detailed information, to update records, whether it be the account or the opportunity. I can even create a new account. So if I want to create a new account, let's say this is my test account. I'll save that back to Salesforce. You can see it refreshes my account list here. I've got test account. And then if I refresh my browser over here in Salesforce, you can see that I have test account. So let's get into how this was done and some tips that I can give you on this. The first thing you need to do is set up Feb as a Salesforce Connected App. This is pretty easy to do, but a couple of tips here. For the callback URL, use login.salesforce.com services OAuth2/token. That's what you want. And then for the selected OAuth scopes, select provide access to your data via the web. Once it's set up as a connected app, you're going to get some information back on the secret that you need to pass to get the access token. So you'll need to set up a service definition for this authentication to work. So I set up a service definition, and service definitions are just XML files that sit in the service catalog, and they're fairly simple. You've got an ID, a name, and then the 2 main sections, the inbound and the outbound. The inbound are telling Feb what to pass to the service. So in this particular case, the inputs are the username, the Salesforce username and password, the client ID, your Salesforce client ID, and then the client secret, which you get when you set up the connected app. This is a post that you're passing, and you're also specifying that the grant type that you're after is password. There are multiple grant types that you can request from Salesforce. And then the outputs are going to include a number of different items, but the only one that you need is the access token. So it's fairly simple to set up. And I have this service call kicked off with the application on start, so that as soon as the application opens up, I have the access token and then can make subsequent calls. So with the authentication done, my access token in hand, let's take a look at how I get information out of Salesforce.com. So for my gets, I'm actually using the new quick JSON service definitions. So there's no need for creating this XML document to go into the catalog. What I can do is formulate the URL, enter it in, and then I can specify the authorization header. So this is taking the access token and passing it in the header. And then my final step, I can specify the input parameters to be assignable from the form. And those two input parameters that I use are a query. So this took a little bit to understand the Salesforce query language. It's not difficult, but once you understand the basics, you can get just about anything you want out of Salesforce. And then, of course, you've got to pass the access token, making that a parameter. Feb will automatically understand this URL and it will automatically determine what the outputs are, so you don't need to worry about that. The next step was setting up service definitions for updates and creates. These were a little bit trickier. The Salesforce update requires a patch method. The patch method returns a 204 status code. So a tip here is you need to use, and I have the URL here on this chart, the HTTP transport, which allows non-200 status codes to be returned. When you set up your service definition, use that transport. You can get it in the Feb DeveloperWorks community, but it's really just all inputs, and then the only output you're getting is the status code back. It actually comes back empty. And then the create is very, very similar, but instead of a patch, you're using a post, and the post returns a 201. And then once you have the service definition set up for the gets, for the creates and the updates, it's really just a matter of going in and mapping the items in the form to the inputs for the service, and going the other way, mapping the outputs from the service to the fields in the form that you want. So those are the key things that you really need to know to do Salesforce integration with Feb. It's not that difficult. I encourage you to give it a try, and if you run into challenges, issues, drop me a note. I'm glad to help. Thanks.